Today is November 18th, 2024, 6 o'clock meeting, Rowan County Board of Commissioners. We're grateful that you're here tonight. Welcome. And we will begin, as we always do, with a couple things. We're going to have a pledge, but we'll begin with our chaplain. Chaplain Taylor will come forward and provide what's called a solemnizing prayer. That's for the commissioners. And so he's going to hopefully come up and pray for wisdom tonight, so that we can make good decisions on behalf of the folks of Rowan County. Commissioners, if you'll join me, we'll get started.
Commissioners, we come to you tonight, Lord, and ask you to be with the commissioners tonight, dear Lord, and we ask you to give them the divine wisdom they need tonight, dear Lord. Ask you to encourage their hearts, dear Lord. Thank you for the preparation they made. Don't forget about our dear brother Mike. Lord, I pray you be with him and his family during this transition time. Be with him and help him, dear Lord. We miss him. Ask you to be with him, Lord. Now, this meeting tonight, we put in your hands. Ask you to be the commissioners now. Thank you for them. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First off, congratulations, Commissioner Pierce and Commissioner Caskey, for your election last week. Good job, and looking forward to keeping you on the board. So, well done. We'll see. That was a compliment.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, yes, please continue to keep Mike in your thoughts and prayers. We're continue to think of him, and we're glad to have Connie back with us today. Welcome back, Connie. Yeah, good. All right, let's see. We've got some changes to make, and I hope I get them all right. On the consent agenda, item N is a Nancy. We're going to move to the regular agenda, and we're going to make that item E. Item E. Let's see. No, yeah, item E. And then we're adding the litigation hold item brought to us by our county attorney. We're going to add that as item U under consent. Item U. And then just a reminder that the consent item F, which is the Daymark agreement, they provided additional data for us on that. So just include that behind your tab on F. Also, on the regular agenda, item B for a legislative hearing for Motorsports Tech. Some of the folks are not here yet, so we're gonna try to help them out, give them a little time to get here, and we're going to move that down to item F. Item F. So that'll be last on the agenda. Madam Clerk, is that, I'm getting a thumbs up from her, Aaron? Does that sound, Jay, you good? Okay. All right, do we have a motion to approve those changes?
So moved.
All right,
Second.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, and then motion to approve the amended consent agenda. Motion and a second.
So moved.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, then let's see, move to public comment. Bobby Kim, welcome. Good to see you. You have 20 minutes. Not really, 3.
You say 30 minutes?
Yeah,
You remember last time I was here, I forfeited.
I know, you did.
Good to see Mr. Pierce back and in
Yeah.
good health tonight.
Thank
But I'm here for the same purpose I've been coming since last February the 5th. And I know that each one of you know what that is, about our seniors, our veterans, and our disabled. There's another group of people I like to add to that, and my journeys throughout the county. With property taxes going up like they did, it pushed the value of homes up. And I've talked to numerous people that have children or fixing to have children that get out of either college or high school because the price of homes went so high. Now they can't afford to buy a house. I've talked to other people in our county that are having to sell out from what they've got because, well, like one gentleman told me, he said, I just barely was making it. And he said, I don't have an additional $1,500 a year now to cover my taxes. He said, it's hard enough to buy groceries and pay for my gas and take care of my children, doctor bills, medicine bills. He said, and there's no help coming. I assured him that I might be leading the fight, but there's a lot behind me now. And I want to do something to try to help the people. Not on my behalf, for me, myself, but for the whole county, the whole group of people. And I told y'all before when I came here in February that you're our first line of defense. In other words, I'm here because you folks can do something to help make some changes and make some difference. Now, Commissioner Ebbs, I know that you checked into it and, with our county attorney and Mr. Church here on what we could or what we couldn't do. I understand what you said about going through the state and things like that, but there's a way that this can be done, and we just have to work together. We all got to get on board. We've got people in our county that desperately need help. Now, you may not know these folks, but I know a bunch of them right now that are really, really struggling. So I'm here tonight, and I want to quote a verse in the Bible to you, and I want you to ponder on this. We've been pondering on it at our church for some time, and even in my Sunday school class, I teach a Sunday school class at Unity Baptist. It's the little book of Jude. Miss Judy, you might be familiar with this verse with your background. Little book of Jude, right before the book of Revelations. There's only one chapter, and it's verse number 22. Verse number 22 says, and some having compassion makes a difference. Folks, we need to get compassionate about our people here in the county. It's wonderful what you've done as far as bringing jobs in and the workload and some things you've done. But we can't forget about our seniors, our veterans, and our disabled. We didn't come to this county to work and live here and support the county and just live. And then all of a sudden, here it is. You can't make it, and there's no help coming. And my grandpa on my mama's side, he was a sharecropper in South Carolina. He had to work with mules. That's how he plowed the big cotton fields, tobacco fields. It was a rough job. And that old mule, he had to pull that plow and plow the fields and pull the drags and do all that. And at the end of the day, when the old mule got old, he couldn't pull the load no more. Grandpa had to get another mule to step in there. Now, we as seniors and veterans and disabled here in the county, we don't want to get kicked to the curb and you bring somebody into a home that we love to stay in that can pay the taxes on it. So I'm asking you tonight to ponder on that verse on Jude 22. Some having compassion makes a difference. I appreciate y'all giving me an opportunity to come back and speak. Thank you.
Good to see you. Thank you. All right, let's move on to our regular agenda items. First item, public hearing and executive summary presentation. Scott, welcome. Good to see you. Always good to see you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Commissioners, for agreeing to hear this request regarding EDC projects. So the company behind Project Secure is an internationally known manufacturer, well known in this industry. It's actually been around since the 1930s. And the company is looking at sites in the Charlotte region for a new manufacturing facility. And the one they're looking at in Rowan County is the under construction building at the Rooster Farms Commerce Center in East Spencer. And there it is on the map there. You see it's off of Andrew Street. And there's a picture to the left of the building that's under construction now. It's 140,000 square feet. And so this company would take about a third of that building with this project, about 55,000 square feet. And if it were to choose the building, they'd create 29 jobs over the next 5 years and also invest about $1 million in equipment. There would also be likely some tenant upgrades to the facility by the developer, Tectonic. But the company plans to choose its location and begin operations in the second quarter of 2025. So with the parameters we've been given regarding the project, they would qualify for a level 1 grant through the county's adopted incentive policy. That's 40% of the taxes back that they pay for 5 years. And just so you know, because this is a tenant situation, the building owners would actually pay the property tax, but then they would bill the tenant for their prorated share of the taxes. In this case, it'd be a third of the building taxes. That's what they would bill this company for. So what we're asking for is a level 1 grant for that prorated share of the taxes. Or they're paying 40% of that amount. And the numbers that were given to you in your packet were based on the current tax rate, and also it's estimated the value of the new building would be $13.7 million, and then again the $1 million in property taxes we talked about earlier, and we estimate the project to be done by June 30th of 2025. And also too, we tried to factor in depreciation for the equipment that was done using the current depreciation schedule. We also assumed 12-year lifespans for all this equipment. Again, as I mentioned, the company would be responsible for about a third of the building taxes. So using those numbers, over 5 years, the total value of the incentive grant would be about $65,000. And during those first 5 incentivized years, it'd be a net to the county of about $97,000. So that over 10 years, it's about $313,000 of revenue to the county, minus the grant. The net revenue is about $248,000. And also, as I mentioned, this building is in East Spencer. East Spencer is also putting money on the table for this. They basically gave money to the developer to relocate a major sewer line that would go through this development. It goes to that major SRU plant adjacent to the property. So East Spencer does have skin in the game. So what we're asking for after the public hearing is for the board to consider, as I mentioned, a level 1 grant, Project Secure, equivalent to 40% of the taxes paid for their prorated share of the overall real property taxes.
Did you talk about the employee pay and benefits?
Oh, no, I didn't. I'm sorry. So they would pay for the insurance premiums for the employees. The average pay for these jobs is $51,000.
How does that compare to the county average?
It's slightly below the county average wage is $52,000 annually, but that again, that number takes into account all sectors. So for a manufacturing wage, it's actually these are good paying jobs. They're actually above what we're seeing as far as an entry level wage in Rowan County for manufacturing jobs. And so in closing, again, this would add millions of dollars to the tax base of the county and East Spencer, create 29 new jobs over 5 years, and bring about $250,000 in net revenue to the county over a 10-year span. I have to answer any questions regarding the project.
Questions? Good to see East Spencer now in the game.
Absolutely.
It's good for them.
And we think that getting a tenant in one of these buildings will spur interest in the remaining portion. And then, of course, after that's done, there'll be a larger building going up as well, over 400,000. So bring a lot to the tax base.
This is a long time project. Mr. Ruscher, who owned this, he and his sister, Dixie. And so East Spencer and the EDC and the county worked with the Ruschers to convince them to let us try to develop this for jobs and tax revenue, and they did. And Miss Dixie passed and wasn't able to see that, and then just last year, Mr. Ruscher passed and not going to be able to see this happen. So that's kind of a terrible thing for that to happen, but
that's why we're glad they named the facility after the Ruscher family. And you're right, we started working with them, I think, in 2016 on the property. In addition to that, there's going to be a Sheetz gas station out there as well, so that'll pull more people off the interstate and into East Spencer.
all right. Any questions for Scott?
Scott, you said this was just going to take about a third of the building that's there. So we can look, hopefully, for a couple, 2 or 3 times. Whoa, excuse me. What we're looking at here as far as income to the county.
I'm sorry, sir, what was that?
I was just saying that means that we'll have 2 or 3 times this amount again, hopefully coming soon.
Yeah, there'll be additional tenants in that and in the second building as well.
All right, we'll don't go far, Scott, in case something else comes up. We'll have a public hearing on the incentive. If anyone would like to speak. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. And Commissioners, do we have a motion to approve the EDC incentive for Project Secure?
So moved. Second.
Any other discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Scott, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yeah. All right, next item, Aaron, continuation of our ZTA 03-24. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All right. So we left off last time. The board had a couple questions about how long cars would stay out there for this text amendment for a towing operation. We reached out to the applicant, looked into some state statutes, and the typical time frame that vehicles would be on a site like this would be, if they have to transfer the title over, about 90 days, but they could last up to 6 months depending on the circumstance. That was the primary question that seemed to come up here last time. If y'all have any other questions or any more you kind of want to go into it, we brought the original applicant here today too as well, since he'd have some more insight on how one of these operations would work.
Yeah, I think our main concern,
Yeah, our main concern was the time frame that vehicles would be allowed to stay there. And just because the ordinance says 6 months, we were wondering what kind of teeth could be put into this that would turn this from a towing facility to a junkyard. That's what, that's our concern, is that it takes a good long while, and vehicles that usually aren't worth paying, or they've been towed, and whatever the circumstances are, the tow bill ends up being worth more than the value of the vehicle. And we don't want the public to have a junkyard where they didn't think that they were going to have that. So that, so have you come up with a?
So ordinance-wise, you could write something into the ordinance that had a set time frame for how long cars could sit there. There's not something other than just observation to see if the cars are still there. One thing at staff level we kind of discussed was that it may be more to look at the size of the lot itself when it comes to the actual appearance versus with a tow yard versus a junkyard. Since ideally for somebody with operating one of these kind of businesses, they want to keep their yard full. So a car's there for 5 days and goes, they're probably going to try to fill that back in as soon as they can. But a full lot with cars there for 10 days versus cars there for 30 days, 3 months might not look a whole lot different. And one thing with these being a conditional district request would be something that y'all could look at and say, this might be too big of a scale for this neighborhood, or this neighborhood might need extra screening to make sure that cars there for an extended period are adequately screened from adjoining property owners.
so did you have a recommendation for us? I mean, that is our only concern, is that there's that line that we cross where we go from a towing facility to a junkyard, and we want to avoid that. So I don't know if the applicant would like to come up and speak. Yeah, come on. Yeah, thanks for being here.
We don't buy scrap, we don't sell rims, we don't do none of that. We keep the vehicle the minimum as possible. When the 6 months is up, we move them. I don't make money by set day after 6 months. I mean, the minute I can get rid of them, they're history. But I mean, we're not like a salvage yard. We don't buy batteries, we don't buy exhaust, we don't do none of that kind of stuff. We tow the vehicles in for the police. As soon as we get the titles, they're history. And there is 2 other tow companies on the same road that do the exact same thing that's been 27 years. And I am back in the woods. You cannot see none of my vehicles from any kind of road at all.
So perhaps we need to look at it from your business model perspective, which is it doesn't, with your limited space, it doesn't pay you for those spaces to get filled and stay there. You need to be moving them.
And most times vehicles do leave within 90 days. Sometimes 6 months is about the max. That's when the state gets me a new title and we can dispose of it.
All right.
And I actually sell my vehicles to another salvage yard that, that does sell auto parts. That's who gets my vehicle.
All right, well,
Thank you,
any,
sir.
any other questions?
Yes, ma'am. Jeremy, good. Thank y'all.
Let me make this statement. We had begun this legislative hearing back on November 4th, and so we're just carrying this over to today. So we already had a public hearing going, so if there's anyone that,
It's already
oh, it's already
closed.
closed? Okay, good. All right. All right, commissioners, what do we want to do?
I think the answer to the problem is just put a deadline of 6 months for a vehicle to be on site. And after that, then we have the luxury of canceling this conditional use permit. And, you know, the applicant's done said that for him financially, it doesn't make sense for it to be there. And he's got other places he can sell that do salvage the cars. And I think that's the middle fit for everybody, because that allows him to have a reason, I got to get rid of this car. And if he's telling us 6 months fits his business model, then just put that in the conditional use, and that'll take care of it.
Aaron, you good with that? Part of the conditional use is that the concept is that this is storage for 6 months.
Yeah, we could add that in one of the, one of the requirements for that specific district.
All right, you all okay with that?
Yeah. And I can't read the whole thing here, but there is going to be a barrier or fence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was,
all the way
this
around.
required both screening and an evergreen.
Okay, thanks.
All right, we have a motion then to approve with that condition.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We need a statement.
Yes, we do.
So we'll
Thank you.
do that as amended. It's consistent.
Yes. All right, ZTA 03-24 is reasonable, appropriate, and necessary to meet. I do this in the form of a motion. Development needs of Rowan County not previously envisioned by the east and west land use plans based on the following: the addition of automobile towing with storage as a commercial business industrial conditional district will help meet the needs of the county. Secondly, the additional option of CBI CD for automobile towing with storage will allow conditional standards to be added as needed on a case-by-case basis. And third, the table of uses change for automobile towing with storage will allow this use in an industrial zone with a special use permit or as a CBI CD. Furthermore, this adoption is deemed an amendment to the east and west use land use plans.
Do we need to go ahead and add that other condition?
Yes.
Okay.
And then we'll add that condition as, okay, you'll work out the wording on that for us, okay. All right, make that.
Second.
Yeah, second. All right, any conversation about that? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And then motion to approve CTA 03-24.
So moved. Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Good luck, guys. Thank you. Yeah. Financial reports.
All right, so we will start with the October expenditure report. It's up $8 billion over October of '24, which is about 14.5%, but still well within or on track with our budget for this year. Cumulative revenues for October is up 8.2 million or 9.7%. And still tracking right where we think it should be. So cumulative property taxes through September is up $111,000 or 0.16%, which is what we projected in the budget that we would be pretty flat to last year. So, looks good. And then sales tax. This is the July report, so it's the dot down at the very beginning there. We're up $229,000 or 6.8%, and this is on track with what we thought that we'd be pretty consistent with last year and not see a lot of increase going forward. And then month over month, July, the month of July is up that 229 or the 6.84%, so you can see it above last July. And then the investment report. So this is the quarterly investment report. So this is for the first quarter. And we have about 26.4% of our portfolios invested in treasury bills and notes. 72.35% of the portfolios at the Capital Management Trust. And we have a very small amount in a money market with Truist. You can see those amounts there. This is basically what they're earning on average for the.
And if I
Yes.
can say something.
Yep.
As time goes on, you're going to see it's continually, money's going to be moving out of the U.S. Treasuries into the trust management fund until interest rates come down because they're paying such a good return right now.
Yes. Yeah.
We're not investing in any treasuries or agency securities. As they roll off, we're putting them back into the NCCMT.
Yeah, and I'll watch that too. You know, because over time, that rate, as the feds have reduced the rate, that rate's going to start coming down some too. So, but yeah, we will keep an eye on that and try to do what's best. The good thing about the Capital Management Trust too is that the money's liquid, so I can get it within a day. So that's very helpful too. So it's not tied up in, the market. And then through September of 24, with the Capital Management Trust in our Truist accounts, we had earned about $2.6 million in interest, and on treasuries, we had earned right at $1 million. And then keep in mind that the banking accounts, that interest we earn each month or each day, I guess technically. But the treasuries, I don't show that interest in the books until they mature. So it's sitting until they mature, and then that's when it hits the financials. So we've earned about $3.6 million so far this year in just interest. Wow. Yeah. All right.
Why is that not shown? Because it's earned.
It's just when
monthly.
they mature, because they sit at a separate bank account somewhere, like with a trust group, and then once it matured, when we would get it back from them, so that it doesn't transfer to us until it's mature.
I understand treasury bills might
Yeah.
be that way,
Yes.
but
Now the NC Capital Management Trust and that's being earned. We record that in our financials every month when the bank statement comes, just like you would with yours. Yeah.
all right.
Yeah. So it's the
Yeah.
yeah. Like you would see it we see it on the bank statement just like you see on your bank statement. Yeah.
Okay, so really the only thing you're not showing is the treasury,
Right.
and it's really not earned until it is
It's
received
Right.
back to
Right.
you. Okay, all right. Thank you.
All right. Any questions?
Issues?
Not that I'm aware of right now. Just keeping an eye on the sales tax. That's going gonna be the big, the big unknown still, yeah. All indications are that it's gonna go down, but ours was still very strong and is, actually this week, the sales tax reports just came out for August and we were still very strong as far as across the state. We were still doing pretty well, compared to last year. So just keeping an eye on that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron, item E.
Yes, sir. The reason for pulling this item is just to ask the board to add 2 words into the recommendation. The reason for that is this is we approved the bid to the lowest bidder at the last meeting. This is authorizing us to execute or sign the contract, but the wording of it says approve the contract. And I was going to ask the board if they would amend this motion from approve, sign, and execute. The reason for being so specific is because this has to be for ARPA, and want to make sure that, maybe it's silly that the word approved, but want to make sure the board says sign the document. So we don't lose the $10 million from ARPA if they say, well, the board approved it, but they didn't say you could sign it. So,
Approve, execute, and sign.
yes, sir.
All right, so what was item N on consent? It read approve Rowan County Health Department construction project. We'll change that to read approve, execute, and sign Rowan County Health Department construction contract. I'll make that in the form of a motion.
Second.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Ed?
Good evening.
Thank you.
This is a continuation of an item the board initially considered on October 7th. Motorsports Racing Complex text that was actually adopted by the board in 2023. And once it got into its practical application, the applicant, which is Motorsports Complex LLC, and our staff noticed that there was perhaps an item therein that needed some clarification. Otherwise, they would not be able to apply under the conditional district rezoning. And so the text, as it's been vetted by the planning board, staff had presented it on October 7th, is very minor, and it changes on page 1, line 35. We just wanted to recognize that in concert with the definition that a complex consists of more than one racing activity track. You got to have at least 2. And so in the lot size calculation, on page 1 here, you see this bold italics underline. It says at least 2 of the racing activity tracks. And then when we get over here, the method or the manner in which we calculate what the minimum lot size is where the hang-up. The applicant had assumed that if you have 2 tracks of the same type, a dirt track and a paved track, you only got 1 track. Well, where I come from, that's 2 tracks. And so what we've done here is we've tried to create language that creates a little space for them, and that's in lines 10 through 12, which basically says if you've got 2 tracks of the same type within the same complex, you don't have to have additional acreage to meet that minimum lot size. But when you add a third or a fourth or a fifth, you got to have those additional acreages to bolster the lot size. You can't just keep cramming everybody into the clown car make it work. So the other thing that happened at our last meeting, and I would also offer that they have remedied the situation. You may recall that there was a sort of a false start or a misstep by the folks out there. They had an event that utilized a dirt strip that hadn't been approved. This is, as it continues to be, a non-conforming use, and it operates that way. Any expansion, whether it's dirt, paved, gravel, asphalt, is considered an expansion. And if it hasn't been approved by this board, it's considered a violation. On 2 different occasions, we had issued a violation to the owners. They paid the fine, and as of, I think, maybe last week or the week before, they have remedied the situation by seeding and strawing the dirt drag strip. So we're back to our non-conforming status. If the text gets approved tonight, I would anticipate sometime next year that you will see an application for the expansion of this facility under the terms that we're talking about tonight. Anyway, if you've got any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. I do know that Mr. Broom, who is the principal of the Motorsports complex, is here. I think he wants to maybe address the board. Also, their attorney is here. If you got any questions for them, I'd encourage you to ask them. But that's all I got for you. Okay, thank you.
Hey, good. How are you?
Good to see you again.
Yeah.
Just wanted to, first of all, I know we've been at this for what seems 12 years, but I know it's only been 18 months. But I do appreciate the consideration on what we're trying to do out there. I hope the feedback that y'all have gotten is that we're making a solid effort to really clean the place up and get rid of the things that were questionable and make it fun for families. That's all we were ever trying to do. I do apologize. I travel a lot for my job. I was not at the last 2 meetings, and things got mixed up, and I do apologize for that. I hope that we have rectified the situation. I promise it will not happen again. And again, thanks for considering us. I missed the boat on that. I did. That was me. I apologize. So, if y'all have any questions for me, or I'd be more than happy to try.
Any questions for them?
I'm good.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
One other item I would just mention is I think you are perhaps still in the hearing phase of this, and once you close the hearing, you would still need to make adopt a statement of consistency as well as the text or any changes you want to make.
All right, any thoughts, any comments? Let me move ahead with the statement. All right, so we'll have, yeah, first of all, we'll need to close, we'll need to close the public hearing, so we'll do that. And then let me give a statement here. ZTA 02-24 is reasonable, appropriate, and necessary to meet the development needs of Rowan County, not previously envisioned by East and West land use plans, and it's reasonable and appropriate based on the following. 1, this is a new zoning type. 2, there is potential for other similar development in the county. Furthermore, the adoption of ZTA 02-24 is deemed an amendment to the East and West land use plans. Do we have a second?
That form of a motion.
It is, yes.
Second.
All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And then do we have a motion to approve ZTA 02-24?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Conversation? Talk? No? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. No opposed. Thank you. We'll see you early next year, maybe? Okay, good. Next week? That's fine. Yeah, that's good. All right, we do have a
But,
quorum.
Ed and Jay, thank you very much for making these things happen.
Yes, sir.
As a point of clarification, the approval should have been as amended and submitted for the new text to clarify the simultaneous use.
That is correct.
So if we can just renew that motion and add that clarification, that would be good.
Yes. So like to amend the motion that we approve. What was it, ZTA?
ZTA
02-24 with the amended language that was provided by staff.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Thought she had provided me with a closed session speech. All right, the board is asked to enter into closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318-11A1 to consider approval of the minutes of closed session held on September 3rd, 2024, as described by General Statute 143-318.1E and to North Carolina General Statute 143-318-111, prevent the disclosure of information that is privileged or confidential pursuant to the law of this state or the United States, or not considered a public record, within the meaning of Chapter 132 of the General Statutes as described by General Statute 132-1.7A1. Make that in the form of a motion.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
As soon as we're cleared out, we will get started. All right, motion to come out of closed session. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, make a motion that we go to bid on the renovations for the Crawford Building and the Judicial Center Building downtown. Have a second?
Second.
All right, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
All right, Craig?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
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 All right,